Hi everybody, this is Dragonflow. So I saw an article this morning on women who have a hard time achieving orgasm. And saw one lady, she achieved her first orgasm at about 35 or 36 years old. So I don't want to claim to know the answers, because I don't. I just, from reading a lot of sexuality and sexology books throughout the past 16 years of my life, I want to give a few ideas on why I think women have, or not all women, but why some women have a hard time achieving orgasm. So these are not all of them, these are just a few ideas I came up with very quickly. Be open-minded. If you have any comments or questions, you can always write me. So one of the reasons women have a hard time achieving orgasm is comfort. So whereas a man doesn't necessarily have to be comfortable with his partner or necessarily comfortable with himself, he can achieve orgasm very quickly. Because the man's sexuality is a bit like a light switch, boom, on and off, right? A woman is said to be more like a boiler. You need to get her warm, you need to get her comfortable, and then maybe she might achieve orgasm, right? Also, a woman needs to be comfortable with her body before she can feel comfortable having sex with somebody else. So there's two levels of discomfort. The woman needs to be comfortable with herself, and she needs to be comfortable with the person that she is making love to. So comfort is a big one. Another one is time of the month. I've noticed, and I could be wrong, that a lot of women are more receptive to sex during the week before their period, right? So this is like, it gives you about a 3 to 7 day play where the woman is very aroused. The rest of the month, it's not to say that she won't be aroused, it's just it doesn't become a priority for her. So she doesn't care as much. So if you're, as a man, if you're courting a woman in a strange part of the month and she's not receptive, it might not necessarily mean that you're not a good lover. It might actually mean that she's not into it at that particular time of month. And there's a lot of women that maybe haven't tapped into their cycle yet, and they don't maybe they haven't completely noticed when the best time of month is. Now, this is not to say that all women are like this. I'm sure most women have figured out when it is and so on and so forth, but some women probably haven't. So they haven't probably figured out the most prime time to achieve orgasm and to have and experience sexual pleasure. So the time of the month is very, very important. Next one is stress. I've noticed as a man, and I've spoken to other men, during stressful periods, we actually want sex more. It's probably this idea of, I'm freaking out, I'm gonna die or whatnot, and I need to inseminate somebody and she's gonna have my baby as quick as possible, right? Whereas a woman, when she's stressed, she doesn't wanna have sex. Number one, her body closes off. And number two, a woman generally tries to avoid getting pregnant during times of stress, because she doesn't want to add more stress to her life. Remember, a guy can just have sex and it is there. A woman might have a potential burden to bear on her back if she gets pregnant. So stress plays into it quite a fair bit. A woman needs to be quite relaxed to enjoy sex and to potentially achieve orgasm. So if a woman is extremely stressed, she probably will have an extremely hard time achieving orgasm. The next thing is patience, right? A lot of guys aren't patient because it takes us very quick to get off and to come, if you will, and to experience sexual pleasure and orgasm. Whereas a woman, not so quick. So I was actually with a Japanese partner many, many years ago, and it took her 45 minutes to experience an orgasm. Now, there's very few guys that will take that kind of time and have that kind of patience to allow the woman to let go enough in order for her to experience this. And so this Japanese woman looks at me and says, that's the first orgasm I ever had. And she was 26 years old. So factor in that she probably had her first period at 13, and 26, 13-year gap. This girl hadn't had an orgasm ever for 13 years. And the reason that is because she herself was probably not patient enough to explore what it was that was gonna give her an orgasm. So the patient is twofold. The man needs to be patient in order to explore the woman's body, and the woman has to be patient in order to explore her own body to bring her to orgasm. And remember, there's one thing I heard that's amazing. In sex, you are responsible for your own pleasure. It's not to say that you want to frustrate the other person while doing it, but you have to A, voice what's going on, B, take control of your pleasure. The other person does not necessarily know what's going to make you happy. Converse with them. So patience is a very key factor in satisfying a woman and for a woman to satisfy herself. You have to get to know your body and you have to give yourself time. Remember, I think a woman gets frustrated in some cases because it's so easy for a man, and I guess we sort of assume that it should be that easy for a woman. And I'm here to tell you, it's not that easy. Or maybe it is easy, but it just takes a longer period of time. We have to explore that patience and we have to explore that time factor. Next thing is resources and money. Women don't like to admit it, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a fact. We have to face up to it. Women want a man who is resourceful, just like a man wants a woman who's beautiful and sexy. If a woman is in a relationship where she doesn't feel that her needs are being met, resource and money-wise, for some reason, she closes off a little bit. A woman wants to know that if she's giving herself to you in bed, generally, that if something happens and she gets pregnant, or she gets sick, or she's can't work for 9 months, you're going to be able to provide for her. So if a woman does not feel that these resources are met, she closes off, she blocks off. And ladies, you're a bit responsible for this too. You have to know that, it's like you're creating a stress in your body because you want the resources to be met. And I hope that you meet the man of your dreams. He has all the money he can possibly have. He meets all your resources. But ladies, you have to find a way to also meet your own resources. Guys are having their own hard time. They're having their own hard time meeting their own resources. So we gotta work 50-50 on this regard. But safe to say, the resources plays a major factor. They actually prove that women that are in a better financially stable relationship have more orgasms, and also the couple tends to have more sex. And I think because the money and the resources equal less stress, therefore women is more comfortable, she is more predisposed to feel sexual. And so guys, resources are where it's at if you want to please a woman. It's not to say don't go after a gold digger, and actually ladies, don't become a gold digger, but you have to find somebody which hopefully you can build a future with, and both your resources can equally be met, so you can let go and have a good time during sexual pleasure. So, the second part of this video, I guess, how yoga can help in achieving sexual ecstasy and orgasm. So, yoga has a lot of breathing and a lot of back bends. And also, not to mention, because of the breathing, you become more conscious of what's happening in your body. You're like, okay, this is my hand, this is my elbow, this is my leg, so on and so forth, right? So breath helps you be in touch with that. Also, what happens with breath is it relaxes your body and allows you to be more in tune with what's going on in the sexual experience. For men, also, the better you breathe, the deeper you breathe, the less of a chance of being anxious during sex. And you don't want anxiety during sex, because this is what forces the man to ejaculate prematurely, and this is what forces the woman to lock herself up, right? And not experience that pleasurable, that sense of ecstasy, right? So the breath, very important. And then the back bends. So they call it the kundalini, right? So kundalini is like the snake force in your spine that sort of travels up your spine towards your head and back and forth. And basically, I'll sum it up in layman's term, right? When you do back bends, there's like a firecracker of sexual energy that just releases from your spinal column, right? So if you do yoga often enough, you could experience this sort of kind of firecracker effect in your lower back, and obviously it moves towards your sexual organs. So those two things, breath and basically the opening of the spinal column. And not to mention, yoga relaxes you. So by relaxing, you can be more in touch with yourself and be more in tune with what's happening sexually. Guys, I have to say, nothing I've said in this video is pure hard science. Be very open-minded and explore these ideas. I hope this helps the ladies. I hope this helps the men. And if you have any questions, feel free to write me, and namaste.